So this question comes up really often, and that is the question of, does a narcissist have conscious intent to cause suffering? In other words, do they know what they are doing? One way to prove that a person has conscious intent to abuse others is to demonstrate that the abuser picks and chooses his or her times to abuse or not engage in abusive behavior. Examples of a narcissist demonstrating an ability to control their penchant to abuse are as follows. They do not abuse their significant others in front of police officers. They will retreat from a location where abuse would have had a detrimental impact on them, such as their place of employment. They are apt to triangulate, which requires one to make a conscious choice to play one person off of the other against each other. They knowingly chose and choose to not show their abusive propensities while trying to expedite the significant other's emotionally vesting and going all in at the beginning of the relationship. During the love bombing phase, they do not abuse their significant others, as they know that this abuse would motivate their significant other or their source of supply to leave. During the idealization or love bombing phase, they do not abuse because they are aware, again, that the mask would be completely gone and that person would run for the hills. They do not discuss their prior relationship histories to hide patterns of abusing past significant others. They do not discuss their secret compartments or their compartmentalization devoted to different sources of supply in order to keep those sources of supply from comparing notes. They do not discuss their histories concerning medical treatment for psychological issues, which very well may speak to their mental conditions that lend to one being abusive. They do not abuse their significant others in front of people who have influence over that narcissist or over the significant other. They are aware that therapy is available, but nonetheless, many narcissists, if not most narcissists and abusers, do not engage in said therapy. They do not abuse their significant others in front of therapists for the most part. Now, and I have heard many stories of narcissists swaying the therapist and the narcissist actually ganging up on the victim of narcissistic abuse, and it all going sideways. That's why I never recommend going to therapy with a narcissist, or going to marriage or relationship therapy with a narcissist ever. Don't do it. And if you have stories about that, please leave them below. They likely have been told that they are abusive in the past, but they continue to do so nonetheless. The whole concept of deriving pleasure from negative attention speaks to one's consciously inflicting emotional distress upon another person. That is a malignant narcissistic trait. It seems as if some narcissists self-soothe via abusing others. And the whole notion that in order to feel powerful, one must take another person down a notch speaks to one's likely consciously choosing the best time to take someone down, or to take their victim down a peg or two. They do not feel guilt the same way that we do as neurotypical people. They cannot understand or feel the pain that they are inflicting upon somebody else. And this is also known as an empathy challenge. They hold ridiculous grudges. They do not want to finish until they have won. They relish in the opportunity to hurt you because it means that they have won. They don't necessarily walk out the door hoping to hurt you and make you suffer. They do walk out of the door ready to do what they have to do in order to get what they want, to get power and control. They will manipulate anyone that they need to in order to accomplish whatever task is at hand. And that task is gaining and garnering narcissistic supply. Making someone suffer ruins their ability to continue manipulating in some cases. They need you to be supple to continue to get what they want from you. They do not make you suffer until you have caught on to who they are, after that mask starts slipping, or you have unknowingly hurt them. It could be a perceived slight even. You may have not done anything at all. They perceive being hurt as truly an injury to them. A narcissistic injury is huge to a narcissist, and they always have to strike back. The true suffering usually happens when they can't just walk away and stop. And the longer you stay and fight, obviously, the longer the suffering is going to last. A narcissist doesn't necessarily see you as a victim, but more as a willing participant in the abuse. And technically, narcissists don't feel much of anything, and at least not in the way that you would need them to understand your suffering. And since their empathy is totally impaired and totally lacking, depending on where they fall on the spectrum, they can mimic and try to rationalize our suffering, but they don't feel it, and they absolutely do not understand it thoroughly, nor do most narcissists care enough about your needs to try to empathize. It is an absolute foreign concept to a narcissist. So, ironically, the narcissist suffering and frustration comes from you wanting things that they just don't have to give. A need for reciprocity, or putting you first, or considering your feelings, or wanting them to make you as happy as an inconvenience. Wanting to make you happy is an inconvenience to their own agenda. And I'm not sure that narcissists see you suffering at all, because the negativity that you provide as feedback simply translates as you are not happy with the narcissist, and who do you think you are? And they see you complaining, pointing out flaws, criticizing, and judging, they see you as judging them whenever you're trying to figure them out, trying to get to know them. And the fact that you can't just be happy with the fact that they're there and they just are, that they're existing with you, and that their presence is enough in and of itself, is annoying to them and somewhat pathetic to them. And some narcissists are true believers that in the beginning they really are in love, but they are not. And I don't believe that they can know romantic love, because their partners suffer, and there is always the inevitable end to the relationship. And in the end, truly, the narcissist is the one who is absolutely consumed by their own suffering.